We're in conversation with Mr. NR Narayana Murthy, the founder of Infosys and a trustee of the Infosys Science Foundation. Incidentally, we are talking to him on the eve of the Infosys Prize. This is 15 years of the Infosys Foundation. It was founded as a non-profit by the founders of Infosys as well as its board members in 2008 to honor achievers, to recognize people doing exceptional work in science. It's now given every year $100,000 to achievers across 6 categories. Mr. Murthy, thank you very much for talking to us on Moneycontrol. It's a pleasure meeting you as always. It's been 15 years of the Infosys Science Foundation, the 15th Infosys Prize that's going to be handed out. As you recall this journey, do you believe it's achieved the objectives that you envisioned for this?
Well, first of all, let me say that it is, as always, a great pleasure for me to talk to you. You represent modernity, you think deeply, and therefore there is a lot of learning for me when I talk to people like you. Well, the transformation of the educational system in a country is a marathon. It takes a long time. It doesn't happen quickly. And therefore, it is unfair for us at Infosys Science Foundation to expect the foundation of higher education and research to produce very tall structures as quickly as 15 years. However, having said this, we do see that our objective of creating role models for our youngsters who are in the field of research is certainly working, because I meet lots of youngsters in the area of research, in physics, in mathematics, in economics, in biology, all of that, and they do talk to me about how they're enthused by our honoring these role models. So it has become some kind of an approbation for these youngsters. So that's what I would say.
And I think it's also set the bar very high, because when I look at some of the past winners of the Infosys Prize, it includes Nobel laureates such as Abhijit and Esther Duflo. It includes Manjul Bhargava and Professor Akshay Venkatesh, who went on to win the Fields Medal, which is, the mathematics Nobel. Yeah. You've also had winners such as Raghuram Rajan and Gagandeep Khan, who are now renowned globally. So again, was that always something that you wanted to do? The bar for this must be very high. It has to include people from around the world. When you sort of set the vision for the Infosys Prize?
Our view at the Infosys Science Foundation, reflected by the words of the current president, Chris Gopalakrishnan, is that this prize should not be looked at by the honorees as a lifetime achievement award. It's not a lifetime achievement award. We are not saying, no, your work is all finished, now we are going to honor you. Chris and all of us have said repeatedly that this is the start of their journey to become globally known and to receive much bigger honors and awards. So therefore, I hope all the awardees will keep this in mind and go on to do extraordinary things and achieve even bigger honors.
What else do you think needs to be done by the government and the private sector to increase impetus when it comes to, funding science and research in India?
More than funding, I think, as you know, when India took part in PISA test of the European Union, we were, if I am not wrong, 71st out of 72 countries. That PISA is a test for primary education, primary and secondary education. And the government of India under Dr. Manmohan Singh, they stopped participating in that. However, this government has done a remarkable thing. I must congratulate them on creating NEP committee, National Education Policy Committee. We have had Dr. Kasturirangan, a remarkable individual. We have had Manjul Bhargav and others. They have come out with a very good report. There is absolutely no doubt about it. But as I have often said, ideas take, at Infosys I used to say, look, an idea takes a week to come out with, but it takes 3 years to implement the idea. Therefore, the true test of the success of NEP is not all the wonderful work that Professor Kasturirangan and others have done, but it is how well we, the ordinary Indians, will implement that. Now, in addition to all that they have done, I would suggest many other things that we need to do. One, for example, I don't know how many experts in primary and secondary education were there on this committee of Professor Kasturirangan. I don't know the details. It may be a good idea to send a committee of highly accomplished primary and secondary education experts to countries like Singapore, UK, France, Germany, US, Canada, etc., which have done a much better job of primary and secondary education than we have done. They have to go to those various schools, or they can choose a certain number of schools. They sit there and understand how the teachers communicate ideas of science. I will speak only about science because that's what I am I am somewhat aware of. How they teach STEM subjects, and then write down notes and perhaps include some of those ideas in continuing the wonderful work of NEP. Second is maybe it is a good idea for us to invite about 10,000 retired and highly accomplished teachers of primary and secondary education from the developed world, and some Indian retired teachers who are very competent, to start a Train the Teachers College. Probably we can start about 2,500 Train the Teachers College in our 28 states and about 8 union territories. And each school, each college can have 4 teachers assigned, and these 4 teachers can teach the primary and secondary school teachers, can train about 100 primary and secondary school teachers. So 100 primary, 100 secondary. Therefore, we will be in a position to train approximately about 250,000 primary school teachers and 250,000 secondary school teachers in a year, because this course can be a year-long course. And the beauty of this is that these highly accomplished retired teachers from India and the US, or France, UK, Germany, whatever country it is, they can then help our primary school teachers, our secondary school teachers to teach our children to become critically thinking, to have an analytical mind, to have a mindset of Socratic questioning, to relate what is learned in the classroom to the nature's mysteries, and to connect what we learn in the classroom to solve the problems around us. Now, this will cost, if you pay each of these retired teachers about $100,000 US per year, you are looking at approximately about $1 billion a year. And if we conducted this experiment for about 20 years, we are looking at $20 billion. That's not a big deal because India has an aspiration, and I am sure it will achieve $5 trillion of GDP pretty soon. And for a nation that has $5 trillion of GDP, spending $1 billion is not a big deal. And I must mention what Professor Derek Bok, former president of Harvard University, said. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance.
Mr. Murthy, we're also talking about at a time when, every day we are seeing new breakthroughs in artificial intelligence, a lot of it coming from the United States. A lot of people are calling it the biggest invention or shift that we have seen since the internet. Some people are also drawing parallels with electricity and so on. What do you make of the pace of change? While AI has been around for many decades, I think this year has sort of been a game changer. The pace of innovation, disruption, new companies that we are seeing emerging. What do you make of it?
Well, artificial intelligence is all about augmenting the capacity of human mind to take on and solve problems that we could not have done earlier. So it's a very welcome technology. But in artificial intelligence itself, whether it is ChatGPT 4 or whether it's supervised algorithmic thinking algorithms, or whether it's unsupervised algorithms or semi-supervised, whatever it is, you need a lot of data. You need to collect a lot of data. Because at the end of the day, machine learning by and large is a very complex piece of pattern matching. Even ChatGPT, as you know, large language models, it's all about pattern matching. Therefore, our first task would be to move from an oral culture, which we are by and large, to a written culture, to a documentation-oriented culture, so that we can generate huge amounts of data. Otherwise, what will happen is, we will use all the data of the developed nation and we may come to wrong conclusions here. Because this is a different nation, this is at a different level of development, our culture is different, our heritage is different. Therefore, we have to collect a large amount of data that is relevant to India. And then only you can use all these models.
Do you think this is something that could fundamentally upend ID services as we know it? People are already writing the epitaph for coders because you...
No, I don't think so, because I tell you, it all depends on our ability to use AI more as an augmentative tool rather than as a replacement tool. I'll tell you, in 1975-76, the world invented a technology called case tools. Case tools were all about requirement analysis. It was all about improving productivity in design, in requirement analysis, etc. And those tools also came with what are called program generators. And everybody said there will be no opportunity for programmers. But you know what happened? The most flexible instrument in the world is human mind. When we had those case tools, when we had those program generators, when we had advanced software engineering methodologies, what we did was, we said we will tackle bigger and more complex problems. The moment you started thinking of bigger and more complex problems, these tools could not handle. So what my personal feeling is, I may be wrong, is that as long as we use AI as a tool to aid human beings to do bigger things, to do more complex things, I think we'll start solving more complex problems. And that's when the world will become a better place. So I don't see them as dangers to humanity. However, having said that, in certain areas, for example, if you plan to attack some other nation and if you use AI there, yes, that is an issue. If you are given a nuclear bomb or something, and if you use AI and all of that, that is a problem.
Deep fakes.
Yeah, similarly, yeah, deep fakes is an issue, or even in the context of any technology getting into an evil mind, that's always an issue.
Yeah.
But that is where there are conferences happening all over the world on how to contain the not so desirable impact or effects of AI. And I'm sure that there are a lot of brilliant people who are working on it. So I am much more positive than negative about it.
So it won't be the death knell, so to speak, for engineers.
Yeah. However, in some areas like automatic driving, driverless cars, all those are good. For example, using AI in controlling nuclear reactors is a wonderful thing, or controlling a power plant is an excellent thing, right? So there are areas where human beings can use AI to reduce the resolution time for reaction and make those systems perform better. But other than, and surgery, for example, precision surgery, AI is very, very useful in precision surgery, robotics is very useful. Those areas will definitely add value to the humanity, as long as I pointed out earlier, we ensure that these technology don't fall into the into the hands of the evil people.
Do you see the need for more deep tech success stories to come out? Are we seeing that happening at some level? IIT Madras, for instance, has nurtured a very good ecosystem. Indian Institute of Science has started a robotics and technology park. So, are we seeing more happen with respect to industry, academia, collaboration? What else can one do to build a deep tech ecosystem?
Well, I think, the support that the government has given, the encouragement that the government has given in terms of Startup India, all those things, they have had some impact. We see a lot of entrepreneurs now coming out with ideas that we didn't see 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. The confidence of youngsters has gone up. Their aspiration has gone up. Their desire to solve what was considered difficult problems has increased. But the society as a whole also has to become even more active in accepting that entrepreneurship is a very difficult path. It's not a path where you guarantee 100% success. Nobody is. And therefore, our society has to encourage our youngsters to try more, to try and solve plausibly impossible problems, and even if they didn't do that, they would be that much smarter because they are operating at that level, at the leading edge. So therefore, our society has to become a little bit more encouraging. I want to see an event where we honor people who tried extraordinary ideas, but maybe the country was not ready, world was not ready.
Mr. Murthy, we are just months away, I think, from the general elections in 2024, April, May. It's been 10 years of the Modi government. As an industry leader, how would you assess 10 years of PM Modi, and what should we look forward to? What does India need for the next 5 years if we have to reach that 5 trillion or 10 trillion or whatever target?
I'll tell you, I was brought up during the post-independent or the early days of post-independent India. I was born in 1946, India got independence in 47. So from the time I was 4 or 5 years, my father was a teacher, he was an extraordinary nationalist. He was very proud of what was happening in the country. So day after day after day, he would repeat what the founding fathers wanted for India. And that is, I want a country where the poorest child in the remotest village has decent access to nutrition, shelter, healthcare, and education, and hope that by hard work, by smart work, by discipline, that child can enhance the quality of life, not only for itself, but for its progenies too. That is what the founding fathers said. As early as pre-independence days, when they fought for independence. So therefore, I think all of us have to keep that in mind. That's the end goal. That is the holy grail, right? So we should all look at how far are we from that. Not that we have produced this thing, that thing, our per capita has gone up by $100. That is not. I think that what I said is, at the end of the day, the holy grail.
What would your message be to the current generation? Because clearly India is a cynosure of everyone's eyes, especially a lot of companies as well are looking to increase manufacturing in India. The China Plus One strategy is taking off. We have over 800 million internet users, favorable demographics. How can we capitalize on all this?
Well, I think the task is very clear. Just now I gave you the aspirational target. However, for that to happen, those of us who have received education at unbelievably low cost. I paid actually I didn't pay because I was on scholarship throughout my education. But my friends who didn't receive scholarship, they just paid 300 rupees per year. That's, let's say this is of 60s. But today it may be somewhere around 90,000 rupees. But that is an unbelievably low cost. All of that happened thanks to our governments, thanks to our taxpayers. So therefore, the way I look at it all the time, the way my children look at it, the way my wife looks at it, the way my teachers look at it, the way my friends look at it, is that those of us who have received this extraordinary opportunity owe a huge responsibility to those people who have not received such opportunities. Therefore, we have to ensure that those people who are less fortunate than us will also reach the level that we have, and will also obtain the opportunity that you and I have. That if we keep that in mind every day when you get up, what is it that I can do so that the vast majority of the people who did not receive what I have received, for them to become better than me or equal to me, better than me, then it is very simple. You don't need to give any big lecture.
On that note, Mr. Murthy, thank you very much for
Thank
talking to us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.